championship so close you can taste it. Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100. Side by side. And your new champion, Kirsten Rasmussen.
Tires USF2000 Championship. With me right now here is Dan Anderson. It's been 31 years since the very first USF2000 race back at Willow Springs in 1990. This will be the 400th race in USF2000. Dan, obviously an exciting time here. USF2000, such a great program.
It is. This is the starting ground for people that want to become IndyCar drivers. We're so excited about the history of this series and its exciting racing. And the cars have evolved so much. They're so much safer now. So it's a great day.
We'll give you the full lineup here momentarily, but Dan was here with me to make sure that we have the right guy to give us the command of the 400th race. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are about set to go here right now, just waiting for the call from race control to fire it up. And again, these drivers, 26 of them at the very start of this road to Indy and the ladder system. And again, our drivers all ready to fire up. The 26 of them getting ready to go. It'll be a great start with Yuven Sundaramurthy on the pole position, trying to finish off his races. 2 wins already for Yuven Sundaramurthy, and again, 26 drivers getting set to go. Just waiting for the call from race control to get things underway. Again, Yuven Sundaramurthy on the pole alongside Christian Brooks for Exclusive Autosport. And on row number 2, it'll be Josh Pearson and Spike Kohlbecker. Row 3 will have Josh Green alongside Kiko Porto. Row 4 will be Nolan Siegel and Thomas Naveau. Well, folks, we're ready to get things underway. The 400th ever USF2000 event getting ready to go. We'll go to Dan Anderson with the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
And with that, engines firing. Round of applause as well. 400th race about set to go. Back to the booth.
Thank you, Rob. Nice job, Dan Anderson, and thank you for all you do for this Road to Indy program. 400th start for the USF 2000 Series, the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship. Our third race of the weekend, and Yuven Sundaramurthy has been the driver to beat. He will bring the field down for this, the third race of the weekend. This is the first rung of this Road to Indy ladder. Field getting set to take off. There we see Jackson Lee, and he had certainly had a rough weekend thus far. Did not get started in race number 1, and race number 2 not any better for Jackson. We hoping much better results for him in race number 3.
Obviously a hometown favorite, with his father Kevin being a longtime part of the PA staff for Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Obviously part of radio and television coverage of the IndyCar Series for many years. Again, Jackson growing up out in Avon, and he has worked his way up the ladder to get to this point. Again, we reference this as the first step in the ladder, where there are so many years and so many series that it takes just to get to this point. This is kind of the first series that is officially attached to the IndyCar Series. You hope to make the progression from USF2000 to Indy Pro to Indy Lights, and here to the NTT IndyCar Series.
Race number 3 will either be a timed event or 20 laps, whichever comes first. We hope that we will keep this entirely green all the way around this little under 2.5-mile road circuit. 14 turns make up this Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Again, we welcome you race fans. Race Day and Armed Forces Day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll be joined in the public address booth by the voice of this Road to Indy program, Rob Howden, momentarily. But Yuven Sundaramurthy trying to make it 3 for 3 and sweep the race weekend. But Christian Brooks hopefully thinking better of that and getting himself his first win of the weekend. Had a rough go in race number 1, and certainly even more so in race number 2. He'll start alongside Sundaramurthy in row number 1. Then Pearson and Kohlbecker make up row number 2. Green and Porto. Porto, good run yesterday, make up row number 3. Siegel and Netview make up row number 4. Christie and Rowe make up row number 5. DiOrlando and Campbell in row number 6. Evans and Ron Garrido make up row number 7. Row number 8, Sykes and Frazier. Navarro and Myers make up row number 9. Row 10 is Jackson Lee and Stammer. And then Denmark Garg in row number 11. Row 12, Vaccaro and Vodanovich and Burke and Palmer rounding out the 26-car field. They will start in row number 13. I don't understand how he does it, but not even winded is Rob Howden, already back in the booth from the call down on the grid with Dan Anderson. It's just so great to have Dan make that call and all that he has done for this Road to Indy program.
No doubt about it. To think about it, 31 years of USF2000 racing, that first event back in 1990 at Willow Springs, and all the drivers that have come through USF2000 racing in all its different iterations. And excited to be here for it. Dan, of course, has been a big proponent of the program, bringing this USF2000 series back in 2010. Go back to that first ever champion, Sage Karam.
Hard to believe that it has been that long, but it seems like just yesterday that when Sage made his run, it was something to see him as a youngster and coming through this field, and that's when it really got involved with this Road to Indy program and got to know Sage and obviously you as this voice of the Road to Indy program. And just, it's hard not to fall in love with this program just because you do see young drivers making their way through, and now we see so many in the NTT IndyCar Series, and this is where they get their start. And as a race fan, and that great analogy about baseball, single, double, triple A, and then we get the majors all in one weekend. A lot of fun, and what better place to showcase this young talent than the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, indeed. One of the drivers we're showcasing here, a couple of wins already for Yuven Sundaramurthy. Does he make it 3 for 3? I won't count out Christian Brooks at all, the number 44, simply because of the fact that they sat down yesterday. Anybody who's struggling always sits down and does some really good, in-depth data work with their engineers. I got a feeling they're going to come out strong, but still look for Sundaramurthy and Josh Pearson to be really good.
Yeah, Sundaramurthy has just impressed this entire race weekend. He has set the race pace. He's just been flawless thus far. But Christian Brooks has been there. Race 1 had a little fall back and never was able to cover. But race 2, he's been there, but just not been able to be aggressive. He's been more defensive, if anything. Yeah,
100%. And he was aggressive at St. Petersburg when he was able to get those 2 victories. The car just wasn't the way they wanted. You see a bunch of Spike Kohlbecker fans there. Spike's got a bunch of guys coming in here from St. Louis to be part of the program. Of course, that's the Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports team. Spike Kohlbecker, the young American, his debut season here in USF2000. Going to start in that 4th position, top rookie. Next rookie in the order is Thomas Nepvo in the number 2, starting 8th. Dylan Christie starting 9th, and Miles Rowe starting 10th. Pace car heads on in to pit lane. Put the field in the hands of the young Americans, Sundaramurthy. Christian Brooks on the outside, Josh Pearson, Spike Kohlbecker, row 2, Josh Green, Kiko Porto, row 3. Let's see what they'll run down the line is. Significantly warmer than it was when Indy Pro 2000 got started earlier today. We saw some chaos in turn 1 there. We'll see if the youngest drivers here on the road to Indy can get through cleanly. Great shot of the drivers as they pull out here, back onto the front straightaway here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The pylon right in the shot. And we're about set to punch off a long starting zone. You see the RTI to the right side of the screen. That's the start of the zone. Yuven can punch off whenever he wants, and away he goes. Good start for Yuven Sundaramurthy. Strong start behind as well for Josh Pearson. He's not going to let Christian Brooks tuck back in. They'll work their way down to 1. You can see Kiko Porto ducking out to the side as well. Into turn 1 for the first time. Make it 3-4 wide to see if they get through cleanly. They do thus far. Sundaramurthy with the lead. Pearson trying to get around the outside of Brooks, cannot do it. Christian Brooks slots into 3rd. First couple of corners, Michael, clean and green.
Yeah, nice start for Yuven Sundaramurthy. That the rest of the field in the back, boy, it is just melee in the back right now. There it is, that big incident.
Looks like at least 3 drivers involved, Michael. Further back, one of them, I think, potentially Eli Navarro. A couple drivers continuing. A couple guys had to go way around the outside to avoid that.
So that was middle of the package when they started, when they were 3 wide at the front of that, and I think a couple of the drivers off there. We'll see if we stay green. Currently, we are.
There's Simon Sykes in the Legacy Autosport machine. Full course caution coming. Sykes was involved. I said Sykes. I thought that Eli Navarro was in there as well. Sykes with some rear wing damage. It's been a tough one for Simon Sykes for Legacy Autosport. A very talented driver and just simply not able to get done what he needed to get done. When you qualify poorly, you're in the back. That's when you can potentially have issues with other drivers.
I think Dylan Christie, another one of the drivers in that incident as well. So we will go full course caution, unable to get our first lap under green.
There it is.
There you see the melee.
Yep. Dylan Christie in the car in the number 34, Miles Rowe as well. And it looks to me like that is the number 6 of Bajoy Garg for Jay Howard Driver Development. What a tough weekend it's been for Bajoy. I don't think he finished even one race. Dylan Christie had a good run in race number 2. Miles Rowe has shown great potential as well, running right there inside the top 10, just inside and outside the top 10 for Force Indy. He's involved as well. 3 drivers collected coming out of turn number 4.
So as they make their way down the long front straightaway, here is the replay in turn number 3 and 4.
It looks to me like Dylan Christie, I think, got turned around. Someone potentially getting in the back. He looked like it was the first car that kind of started to yaw to the right side. And in this minute, when you're coming out of that corner, that's one of the toughest corners. Parker Thompson was telling me about it, how you are really carrying so much G-load through that corner. You're really trying to get because that's getting the throttle down there is what takes you down the back straightaway. Even though you're going through 5 and 6, it's on the throttle. How much speed can you get out of 4?
And as we were watching the start of the race, they were 3 wide going through turn number 3, so they really have to woe it down going into 4 and then get on that accelerator to get that nice launch out of there. And all it takes is a couple of bits of contact, and you're going to spin people around.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Dylan Christie probably on the outside. Maybe somebody just got into him. And again, when you're pulling that kind of G's, you're right on the edge of adhesion, and someone just kind of gets into the back of you, it's pretty easy to break those tires loose, and all of a sudden you go around. And then when you're sideways in the middle of the track with everybody else barreling in, you know there's going to be issues.
So with our first caution of this, the 3rd race of the USF2000 Grand Prix of Indianapolis, Yuven Sundamarudi will lead. Christian Brooks will run 2nd. Then Josh Pearson, Kiko Porto, and Green round out your top 5.
So Miles Rowe, Dylan Christie, and Bajoy Garg involved. Simon Sykes, Grant Palmer, and Nolan Siegel all having to come to pit lane as well to effect repairs. Palmer, I believe, was the driver who took evasive maneuvers and went to the very far outside of the track, potentially through the gravel trap there. They likely brought him in to make sure they clear all that gravel out of the radiator inlets.
Yeah, there's a lot of, when you get that gravel in there, it just finds its way into all the important parts of that car, and it takes a minute to get that cleaned out. So we have caution on the circuit and cleanup currently underway. The AMR IndyCar safety team currently on track. You see the field making their way through turn number 11 right now. And our start to this race, although we did get through turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4 is where we actually had the incident.
Yeah, just as I was transitioning back to you, Sam, we're clean and green through 1, 2, and 3. I don't want to call it the commentator curse, Greg, but maybe that was my fault.
Broadcaster jinx is how we refer to it in the industry. By the way, of the 3 different drivers that had to come into pit lane, still there, Sykes and Palmer. Siegel has returned to the race course, so he will re-enter at the tail end of the lead lap. He will be in 21st. Again, it's taken a bit longer for Sykes and Palmer trying to repair their race cars, and it appears they're going to go a lap down.
Yeah, for those of you tuning into the Road to Indy TV app or potentially on roadtoindy.tv website or USF2000.com, my name is Rob Howden, joined by 2 of the voices of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Greg Rakestraw and Michael Young. Great to be here. As I said, guys, always a privilege to be able to walk into this room.
Always a lot of fun and great to have your insight and intellect about this Road to Indy program. You bring so much to these 3 series, and obviously this first run, the USF2000 series. A shout out to Jackson Lee, who had a miserable weekend up to this point, and not that it's over yet, but at least running in that 10th position and finally got a race started.
Indeed. He's from Avon, Indiana. This is the home racetrack. The son, of course, broadcaster Kevin Lee. Jackson, a very talented young racer who has worked his way through karting, the Lucas Oil School of Racing Formula Car Series, the F1600 Championship, just that ideal run to develop yourself to get here. It's the home race, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You want to show well. You've got fans here. You got friends, sponsors here. Gets taken out in race number 1. A mechanical issue in race number 2. Doesn't even get a chance to start, but to see him on the racetrack now is great. We're going to have him in the booth, I hope, later on today for Indy Pro 2000 as well.
Looks like things slowly getting cleaned up in turn number 4. Actually, it right at the switchback is where everybody finally came to rest. So turn number 4 is where it all began. And as you had said, Rob, and for fans who are sitting down in the J stand here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you see that 90-degree hard right-hand turn and then the 90-degree, more of a sweeping left-hander in turn number 2. And then turn number 3 is just a nice, smooth turn, but then all of a sudden, you've got to woe it down and get yourself set up for turn number 4. a slow turn, but that gives you all the momentum for that quick switchback of 5 and 6. That is the key for an opportunity to try to make a pass down Holman Boulevard into turn number 6.
In that particular corner, like you said, you have to load up, and we're in pack racing. That's when somebody will just carry a little too much speed through. You saw, we were able to see Simon Sykes come through with that rear wing damage. Obviously, someone getting into the back of him. Simon was able to get it loaded up. Another driver not quite as quick onto the binders, jammed into the back of him, and Sykes still in pit lane, Palmer still in pit lane. So right now, 5 drivers well back. And I feel bad for Grant Palmer. Just had some issues in qualifying and was down low, and even trying to get faster laps in the races, just wasn't able to get any quicker. So starting in the back, he had 2 great races. Grant Palmer, probably the front-running mover coming up in both races. I think 10 or 11 spots in both races. So great job for that young pilot, but to see him out of the race here now is sad. Hopefully they'll get him back, that car back together so we can get some more laps in.
So working this caution, 16 laps remaining, 10 laps into this race.
Getting an update that Grant Palmer has bent suspension, so we likely will not see Palmer back on to the racetrack. Tough one for him. He'll press the reset button, 2 weeks away. Although we don't have the Freedom 100, we got the Freedom 75 and the Freedom 90, both USF2000 and Indy Pro, part of the Carb Night Classic at Lucas Oil Raceway, the Friday of the 500. I love that race. It's a lot of fun to watch because they've got the midgets and the Silver Crown cars there, and you run so much differently. Our cars were right up on the wall.
It was so much fun to go a couple of years back, able to take advantage of a night out at Lucas Oil, and it was a treat to watch these cars go around that circuit.
And the crazy thing is we run that high line, but if you want to be fast, you got to be able to run the bottom because there's inevitably going to be traffic, especially with 26 drivers in USF2000, and you've got to be able to go to the low side to get by the traffic.
Well, we see our safety workers, the AMR IndyCar safety team, still working turn number 5 right there. We have the wrecker out there as well, so we will not be going back green this time by. As you see, the 34 and the 99 on the back of the wrecker. They will bring those cars back to pit lane. It looks like the AMR IndyCar safety team will get back into position, and it just depends on how quickly we can get those cars off the racing circuit, and we'll see when we go back green. If not this time, I would imagine definitely next time by.
And, Michael, a longer race as well. 15 laps for the first 2 races of this triple header. This one here will be a 20-lapper or 40 minutes. Laps being ticked away here under the full course yellow. 4 laps in. Fans enjoying themselves.
Hi there, race fans. Good to see you. Welcome out to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They got some good seats there.
It's also a great way to social distance where you can kick your legs out for an entire row.
That's true.
Make sure nobody sits around. If you can take up like 6 seats as one person, you're doing okay from a social distancing standpoint.
That is a great observation on your part, Greg. That's fantastic.
I want one of those hats.
Yeah,
I like those. The guys got them on Victory in Victory Lane. Part of the deal for getting on the podium here. Pretty good looking hats for sure.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. And if you've not gotten your new gear, I know everybody has been away from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but be sure to visit the gift shops. A lot of great looking gear for 2021, and we invite you to pick up a new hat, shirt, sweatshirt on a chilly morning. 1 to go this time by. 1 to go.
Hey, how many people do you think are buying Romain Grosjean memorabilia now, or merchandise?
I would imagine that's a pretty high commodity item right now.
I love seeing his excitement yesterday.
It was fantastic. And to consider what he went through with that incident, when the car's on fire, we didn't even know if he'd get out, and then for him to make that recovery, I mean, his hands are, you can still see the scars of the burns, and for him to come in 3rd time's the charm and to qualify on the pole for this afternoon's race, fantastic.
And what the guys that run at that level that come over here have, and even a guy like Marcus Ericsson has dealt with this as well. They have a chance to come here and be competitive right away. I believe this was the first pole for Grosjean in 10 years in any form of motorsport. So, yes, you can run at the pinnacle overseas. However, you can come here and have a chance, if you've got the talent as a driver, to be competitive. And I think you're going to see more and more drivers start to make that move.
Ryan Marine from IndyCar Radio actually brought it up. I think he went back and looked at it. I want to say it was when he ran GP2 was the last time that he actually had a pole position. And I've loved what Romain's done at the start of the season, and I like this battle up front. You got him in there. You got Jack Harvey in there. Connor Daly making the Firestone Fast 6 as well.
Alex
exciting.
Pelosi had a great. It's all these new names, and then we'll sprinkle in the Scott Dixons and Joseph Newgardens. What a fantastic field, and of course the GMR IndyCar Grand Prix coming up later on this afternoon at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we get set to go back to green and get this USF2000 race back underway. This will be the key to see what Juven Sundamarudi does now. Will he be able to hold off Christian Brooks? Does Christian try to take advantage of it now that they're single file? They don't really have to worry about a start again, or at least a too-wide start.
And fast forward 5 years on IndyCar, that's when these drivers here will be there in 5 years. We talked about the guys working their way up, new names right now, but fast forward 5 years, and you're going to see these drivers here. And you're right, here comes the restart for Juven Sundamarudi now. This is when he is, to a certain extent, a sitting duck. It all depends on when he's able to punch off. Let's see if he goes early. And he does. He does go early, but he does not get a jump. Christian Brooks is going to be right with him coming down. Not the kind of jump that we saw from Artem Petrov. Green flag. Flying at start finish. Sundamarudi to the bottom of the racetrack here. Look at Brooks right in the draft. He'll pull alongside. Can he clear him by the time they get to turn number 1? Sundamarudi is going to go to the bottom. Big, wide run there. And a new leader, Christian Brooks, goes to P1 on the restart.
That was a great run by Christian Brooks. Timed Juven Sundamarudhi's restart. Allowed him to get a toe down that front straightaway. He swung wide and just carried that momentum down into turn number 1. Brilliant pass by Christian Brooks.
You wanted to see whether or not he was going to hold that start for a bit or punch off early, similar to what Artem Petrov did earlier today in Indy Pro 2000, just not as successfully. Artem was able to get that big jump and hold the spot, where now Sundamarudi is getting challenged from behind as well. Kiko Porto, I think, in there to the fight. Porto going side by side with Sundamarudi. Not quite able to get by, but he's putting all the pressure on. Josh Pearson right behind them. Josh Green as well in that number 33. Porto first by Pearson, tried to go get Sundamarudi as well. So a pretty exciting opening lap for the Brazilian.
And Sundamarudi going to have to get the rhythm back. Not used to having to attack and defend all at the same time. This is a position he's not been in this entire race weekend as Christian Brooks steps out to about a 2-car length advantage as the field makes their way through turn number 14. They'll make their way down the front straightaway. We'll see if Porto can get Sundamarudi coming down the front straight.
Lap number 7 in the books this time by as we continue to roll. 13 laps still to go, almost a full race distance. Little battle further back between Kent Vaccaro and I believe Trey Burke going side by side. Look at the action coming through turn number 1, Michael. A lot of deep moves to the bottom into turn 1.
I think Porto may have got Sundamarudi, although he would have the preferred line. He did. He got him in turn number 3. So move Kiko Porto around Juven Sundamarudi.
Drivers running 1-2. Actually, the drivers that were able to be victorious at the season finale last year at St. Petersburg, both Kiko Porto and Christian Brooks able to get their first wins of the season at the end of the campaign. And now they run 1-2 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, right with them behind them as well, the 2 Pabst Racing drivers, Sundamarudi and Pearson. But I'll tell you, just inside the top 10, a lot of side-by-side racing.
Well, now Josh Pearson is going to try to pass Juven Sundamarudi. So Sundamarudi in a whole new world at winning the first 2 races of the weekend, and now Josh Pearson trying to take that final step of the podium early in this race. 13 laps remaining, but Christian Brooks, you talked about it at the top of the race today. This could be the race for him as they sat down, they went over all the data. This would be the race if Christian was going to win. It would be here today.
And one of the things about this road to Indy, which is great, is the drivers really start to understand more the mechanical side of the racing. Side by side, a little further back, let's grab that battle. That is Thomas Nepfu and Josh Green going at it into turn 1. Potential fight for the lead here as well. Porto trying to go to the outside of Brooks. Same with the 2 Pabst drivers side by side. I think that Pearson could be through. But look at that fight for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Josh Green, Thomas Nepfu, Michael D. Orlando.
Boy, Kiko Porto almost got Christian Brooks into turn number 3 right there. They were running side by side. Brooks able to fend him off as they make their way down Holman Boulevard. But great battles throughout this pack as they make their way down into turn number 7. Christian Brooks leads them to the turn.
Peter Vodanovich going off into the runoff. And here's the side-by-side battle coming through turn number 7. Porto's got the inside. Brooks on the outside. They're side-by-side all the way through 7, 8, and 9. I think it'll be the inside run, though, for Porto in turn number 10. Does he get the spot? Do we have a new leader here in USF2000, the 3rd race of the triple header? Kiko Porto has gone to the lead. New leader. The number 12 of Porto, the D-Force driver, out to the lead. Brooks slotting into second. I think that might be Sunder Murthy still in the third spot. Josh Pearson in fourth. Wow, great racing for Porto.
It's hard to imagine them making that too wide through 3 turns, but now Juven Sunder Murthy trying to retake that second position. He has a run coming down the front straight away on Christian Brooks.
Not going to get it done with Brooks still in the draft, though, right behind Porto, who's going to go to the bottom of the track. Porto's got to hold that spot, made the move. Here goes Brooks around the outside. Sunder Murthy trying to make it 3 wide to the bottom of the racetrack. Sunder Murthy, oh, almost contact with Christian Brooks. The one thing about turn 1, Greg, is the fact that when you get down there, it's so wide that it's so enticing to try to make that dive bomb move.
Well, what that battle between Porto and Brooks has done, it has brought Pearson and Sunder Murthy back to the pack. That was actually Pearson that had a run on the guys that were in spots 1 and 2. So Pearson worked his way around Ewan for the third spot, and because those 1-2 guys were side by side, it's brought 3 and 4 right back to him.
Sunder Murthy and Pearson battling each other now again through turn number 7. But I'll tell you this about Josh Pearson, second year in the series, just 15 years of age. Last year, Josh probably would have tried that move and made the mistake, and there would have been contact. This year, with that maturity, able to realize it wasn't going to get done, checked up and tucked back in behind Brooks.
So the Pabst drivers are battling there for the 3rd and 4th positions, but Christian Brooks able to keep attacking on the leader, Kiko Porto. Some great battles throughout the field. We call those moves done into turn 1 illusions of grandeur. You think that you can make those passes, but Kiko now doing a great job as we get into a rhythm now as we have 10 laps to go this time by. Kiko Porto about a 5-car length advantage over Christian Brooks. Then it's the machine of Josh Pearson and Juven Sunder Murthy D'Orlando round out our top 5.
Prescott Campbell and Josh Green going at it as well for 7th position. I'll tell you, another amazing run forward here by Michael D'Orlando. When it's all said and done, he will have worked his way from outside the top 10, I believe, into the podium in one race, top 5, I think, yesterday. He is having another great run here for D'Orlando, back up into the top 5. Started in the 11th spot. This is strong recovery after a not-so-stellar qualifying effort.
So the field working down Holman Boulevard. Our leader, Kiko Porto, Christian Brooks, at the start-finish line, about a half-second back. Looks like that's where it remains right now. Josh Pearson, then Juven Sunder Murthy. But D'Orlando right there trying to take over that 4th position. You see that battle right there on the screen as they make their way through turn number 9.
Porto about a half a second out. You can see stretching a little bit of a comfortable cushion here now. Now can run the full open racing line. Doesn't have to think about doing any defense like he did last time down the straightaway. Brooks trying to see if he can't get up on him again. Good job here for Josh Pearson, again, second year in the series, just 15 years of age out of Portland, Oregon, and having a strong run, leading the way for Pabst Racing. And that's that inter-team battle as well. Juven was able to get a couple of race wins. Josh is back there saying, hey, my turn to run up front. He's P3 right now, Sunder Murthy in that 4 spot. Here comes D'Orlando and Thomas Nepveu, the Canadian out of Quebec, rookie driver, P6. Good run here now.
And there's that battle down into turn number 1. It's Nepveu and D'Orlando as they nearly touch going into the turn.
Actually, that's the 5.
That's
Kohlbecker.
Yeah, that's
Kohlbecker. Yeah, that's Kohlbecker and Green for 8th position. Josh Green in the 33, Spike Kohlbecker in the number 5. Eric Evans having a good run here as well for VRD. The best we've seen out of Eric Evans coming from the F4 program. Race winner there in the number 29 machine for Velocity Racing Development. Single car effort for Dan Mitchell's operation. And Evans having a good run here in 10th. Here's your lead for Kiko Porto. There's the battle further back, though. Yeah, that's the Kohlbecker, Green, and Evans battle right now.
They have been battling like that for the last 3 laps or so. It looks like each other kind of holding one another up, and as they get runs on each other, they go 2-3 wide each time they go by. But for Kiko Porto now, that lead stretched out to about 8 car lengths as they make their way through the final portion of this 2.4-mile circuit, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Kiko Porto, Christian Brooks, Josh Pearson, Juven Sunder Murthy, and Michael D'Orlando. D'Orlando still about a car length behind Juven Sunder Murthy, but made a nice charge last time by.
I think he's going to get that spot. D'Orlando has been so good, as I said, did not qualify well by running P5 right now in front of Nepveu. Then you've got the 11 of Prescott Campbell, the winner of the second race of the season at Barber Motorsports Park. Has not had the best of luck since then, currently running about 6th in the championship standings. Good scrap further back again. That's that Kohlbecker, Green, and Evans battle. I love that fight for 8th, 9th, and 10th. Front three drivers, Michael, though, kind of stretching out a little bit, give themselves a bit of a gap.
Well, Christian Brooks, as you had said, as Kiko Porto made that run to the lead, Christian kind of settling in right now. And as we're through 8 laps to go in this race, I think everybody trying to save as much of their Cooper tires as they can. But again, the best battle, or the next battle we will see for position, probably that fourth place run, Juventus Maruthi and Michael D'Orlando. He's about a car length behind, and he stayed there for the last couple laps. But like you said, it looks like he's poised to take over that fourth position, talking about D'Orlando.
Good fight as well between Eric Evans and Jackson Lee. Now Lee able to get by Billy Fraser in the number 91, so move Jackson Lee, the Indiana boy, up into the 11th spot, trying to battle out for a top 10 finish to cap off what has been a tough weekend for Jackson. Out front, Kiko Porto still leading, and all Christian Brooks can do is try to keep up the pressure to see if he can't force a mistake. That's really all you can do right now. Those drivers very evenly matched in terms of lap times. Across the yard of bricks again. Looking at this fight further back. Jackson Lee trying to see if he can't close back up here on Eric Evans. Pretty much the gap, pretty much the same all the way through the field now.
Looking at 7 laps to go. After the rough start that we had, the field now running pretty clean and gapped with about 5 car lengths. And then we got a nice battle, like you said, in the back of the field right there. And that's where you get a lot of the scrums in the latter parts of these races, when you have drivers fall back with incidents and they start trying to make their way back forward. But we talked about Jackson Lee was up to 9th when we restarted, fell back to 12th, and now back to 11th. So doing a good job battling in the back of the field there.
Yeah, this fight here we're watching right now, Michael Myers trying to make a move to the inside of Billy Fraser. That's a 4-driver battle. Billy Fraser, the Kiwi in the number 91 for Exclusive Auto Sports. Michael Myers, family-run team out of Indiana in the number 42. Eli Navarro, last year's Lucas Oil School of Racing Formula Car Series champion. That's why he's got the scholarship colors. $75,000 scholarship to come to USF2000. And Evan Stammer as well for Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports having a strong run, the best we've seen out of Evan Stammer, a rookie just getting into formula cars. Every time he gets back behind the wheel, he's getting better and better. Love to see this out of Evan.
Watching Juventus Maruthi, who won our first 2 races of the weekend, running in that 4th position, tailing his teammate Josh Pearson. It looks like he's starting to close that gap as if he's trying to get that rhythm back for the final laps of this race. He was about 7-8 car lengths down, now has closed it down to about a 4 car length deficit. So keeping our eye on Juventus Maruthi in that 4th position. Still an opportunity to get himself back up on that podium.
I'm also watching the right side of our screen as we see the points standings as they run on the racetrack. As they are running out there, Christian Brooks would have a 13-point lead on Sundar Murthy. I think it'll end up being 14 here because as we come back across, Kiko Porto will then become the overall lap leader at 7 laps led. That's a bonus point there as well.
Yeah, it looked like Michael D'Orlando really closed the gap going into turn number 7.
All of a sudden I looked up and there's a white car right on the back of Sundar Murthy. I went, oh, hey, we got a fight here. And the keys being close enough coming out of turn 12 and 13, Michael. We talked about that. You're too far back, you're not going to get the draft. Greg, you and I talked about this yesterday as well. You need to be a certain level to get that draft coming down the straightaway.
You got to be about, what, 4 or 5 car lengths behind to be able to get that effect?
I'd actually change it from what we saw yesterday. Maybe even just 3 car lengths would be enough because we saw guys 5 back just not able to make it work. You can be assured that D'Orlando will do everything he can to try to get by. Yeah, he's still significantly back. That's about 6 or 7 car lengths as they come across, start, finish again.
And it's those long straightaways that D'Orlando really gets the advantage and can close that gap on Juventus Maruthi. But Sundar Murthy, very quick in the corners. He seems to be able to re-gap himself once he works the tighter portions of this circuit.
Good fight here as well between Thomas Nepvu and Prescott Campbell. That's 6th and 7th. That's the shot right there in front of you. Right behind them, Spike Kohlbecker in the number 5 machine.
By the way, we've got a car that is into pit lane. Round Garrido pits from the lead lap. All the cars are on the track. We're on the lead lap, but Round Garrido heads to pit lane currently in 21st.
It's been a tough weekend for Matt Round Garrido. The Englishman had a really bang-up weekend at St. Petersburg, was on the podium, was super strong. I don't think they were able to get the car to his liking here. And this is a really interesting racetrack. We've talked about it all weekend long. It's a low-grip track that really really rewards drivers who are precise on their car placement. You've got to make sure the car is in the right spot.
And for Matt Round-Garrido, he was pulled into pit lane for blocking.
Ooh, drive-through penalty for Matt Round-Garrido for blocking. He was battling it out, I believe, with Nolan Siegel. I did see him rip a tear off coming through, so probably just right through the track and back on again.
So 5 laps to go in our check that, 4 laps to go in our USF 2000 Grand Prix of Indianapolis. Race number 3, Kiko Porto, your leader, then Christian Brooks, Josh Pearson, and that battle there for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Josh Pearson, Juventud Maruthi, and Michael D'Orlando. That's the battle we watch into turn number 4.
Here's the car, Round-Garrido into pit lane now. Team looking at it. Not sure what it is actually here for Matt Round-Garrido. Obviously the drive-through, or at least drive into pit lane. They're telling him to shut it right down now as well. So that'll be it for Matt Round-Garrido. But look at the gap between 1st and 2nd. Christian Brooks has got it down to 0.6 of a second now. He's got a lot of room behind him. Now doesn't have to worry at all. As Pearson 3rd there, Sundermurthy 4th, and then D'Orlando, another strong top 5. Tremendous weekend for Michael D'Orlando at Hartsdale, New York, after qualifying outside the top 10. This next battle here is a stellar one as well. I'm loving watching this. That's Thomas Nepfu, Prescott Campbell, Spike Kohlbecker, and Josh Green.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun, and that's the battle we see right now working their way through turn number 11. Here come your leaders, Kiko Porto, Christian Brooks. Brooks about a 3-car length deficit over Kiko Porto. They work their way through turn number 14. Then the 3rd place machine of Josh Pearson, Juventud Maruthi, Michael D'Orlando right there. And then that 4-car battle for 6th place.
Then at the tail of the top 10, we're seeing right there as well. Jackson Lee able to get by Eric Evans. Those 2 drivers fighting for last spot in the top 10.
Jackson Lee making his way after dropping back at the start of this race. So a good run for Jackson Lee. And there you see the battle. That's 1st and 2nd, Kiko Porto and Christian Brooks, working their way through turn number 3, now entering turn number 4, that slow portion. You can kind of see the cars slow down, and then when they get through turn number 4, that's when they get on the accelerator for turns 5 and 6. And there you see that, what we call a switchback, a quick left-hander, right-hander to get that run down Holman Boulevard.
Brooks getting it down to 0.5 of a second, able to cut another 10th out. The closer you get, the more that draft's going to come into play. Could we have ourselves a battle for the race win here between Kiko Porto and Christian Brooks? Porto from Brazil, Brooks, the young American from Santa Clarita, California. Kiko's a tremendous driver, though, and knows how to lead races. Let's see if he's able to hold off Brooks here in the final couple of laps. It'll be 2 to go when they get back onto the front straightaway.
Boy, it looks like Kohlbecker's trying to get around Campbell. There was a lot closer when they came out of turn number 7. I thought they were going to make Kohlbecker was going to be able to make a pass around Campbell, unable to do so. 2 laps to go this time by for Kiko Porto. He has a 0.5 second advantage over Christian Brooks. Christian trying to cut into that deficit to field down the front straightaway.
Here's your leaders coming across the yard of bricks. There's the gap across the line, now down to just 0.48, another 0.1 of a second. And Brooks deep on the brakes into turn number 1. Wants to get through there, roll as much corner speed as he can, because if he can get that run down to Holman Boulevard, get it down to 0.2 of a second, there's an opportunity in turn 1 on the final circuit. Christian Brooks in the red and white exclusive Autosport machine, closing up on the trademark blue and white of D-Force Racing. Kiko Porto still leading here. White flag to fly next time by.
Saw Kiko Porto braking, and then Brooks went in deeper. You saw that gap really close. This Brooks took the car in a little bit later than Kiko Porto, but Porto able to get through the front portion of this circuit. Now a battle for that 3rd position. Juventud Maruthi trying to get himself back on the podium and get around his teammate Josh Pearson.
Again, we'll see how things set up here coming through turns 10, 11, and 12. This will be the final lap as they come back around, and will Kiko Porto have enough of a gap to be able to hold off Christian Brooks? It was about 0.8 of a second a few laps ago, down to 0.6 to 0.5, now just 0.4 of a second. Brooks trying to see if he can't challenge here in the final circuit. P2 would be good. He'll leave here with the point lead, but he wants that race win. Porto's not going to give it up easily, though, Michael.
White flag out this time by Kiko Porto, your leader, Christian Brooks. But the battle is on for 3rd. Juventud Maruthi looking good around his teammate, Josh Pearson. He'll look to the outside.
Maruthi going to the outside, trying to get those points he needs. Pearson going to go deep on the brakes as well. Side by side, little lockup. They're still side by side through turn number 2, over to 3. Book it. He's through. Sundaramurthy into P3, big for the points.
And Josh Pearson not done yet, trying to battle his way back onto the podium. His teammate from Pabst Racing getting around him, but now Josh Pearson on the charge down Holman Boulevard. We see USF2000 Temporada running in that third position. There are your leaders, Kiko Porto and Christian Brooks. That battle in third, now 3 wide, battle for third, all the way down into 7.
Michael D'Orlando trying to clean up the mess, and over under there. Still the battle for third spot between Pearson and Sundaramurthy. Kiko Porto looking good, able to defend from Brooks coming out at turn number 7. And Brooks is closer than he has been all race long. Look at this fight here. D'Orlando's going to go to the inside. He's going to get at least one of the cars, maybe 2. Michael D'Orlando trying to get onto the podium from P5 of the final circuit.
What a drive as the two teammates battle. Michael D'Orlando trying to take advantage of the situation. Here they come from the final time out of turn 14. Kiko Porto, Christian Brooks, the battle for third, and he has it, Michael D'Orlando as well. Here's your leader and winner.
Another new winner, Kiko Porto from D-Force Racing will take the victory. The Brazilian going under the double checker flags from Aaron Likens. D-Force winning here in the third event of the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship. Christian Brooks coming home in second to give himself the point lead. Michael D'Orlando on the last lap was able to pass both Josh Pearson and Sundaramurthy. Got to the inside of one coming out of turn number 10 to turn 11. Got the other driver coming side by side through turn 12 and 13. What a drive for Michael D'Orlando, but you got to give it up to Kiko Porto. That win, very impressive. Christian Brooks, though, pushed him all the way to the checkered flag.
Yeah, Christian did a great job. Kiko Porto with the win, and congratulations to Kiko. But the great pass on track was when Sundaramurthy Pearson battled down into one, and Michael D'Orlando sat back, watched the two battle, and once they got through turns 5 and 6, he made that charge. He went 3 wide down into turn number 7, was able to take that third position, getting both teammates from Pabst Racing.
Yeah, good to see David Martinez, his partner and I believe brother. I think he's brother-in-law, Ernesto. Might actually be. I think it's his uncle, but he's actually younger. It's an interesting setup. That's the D and the E in D-Force Racing. David Martinez, of course, a former Champ Car driver. Tremendous team here, based out of Texas, and good to see them grab the victory. You can see the smiles there from D-Force Racing. Kiko Porto will be over the moon for sure. An amazing run for him. 4/10 clear of Christian Brooks. Let's have a look at the lineup. The final results. Porto with the victory. Brooks second. Michael D'Orlando, what a stunning final lap to move himself up into 5th in points, too. Big for D'Orlando to go to P5 in the points. 3 really good races after not a great qualifying. Josh Pearson ends up in the 4th spot. Sundaramurthy falling down to 5th. That gives Christian Brooks a 14-point lead, leaving Indianapolis. Thomas Nepfu, his best run of the season as well, in the 6th position. 7th, Prescott Campbell. 8th, Spike Kohlbecker. 9th, Josh Green. And Jackson Lee rounding out the top 10. Winning out in that battle over Eric Evans.
Well, that's a good run for Jackson after having that incident in race number 1, not starting race number 2, to be able to come home in the top 10, falling back and able to re-get himself into the top 10. A good run for Jackson, but congratulations going out to Kiko Porto. And there he is, race fans, getting out of that D-Force racing machine. What a great drive for Kiko this morning.
Winning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Nothing as sweet.
That would never get old.
It would not.
Never
at all. So fantastic run. And there's Christian Brooks coming over to congratulate him. Look at the difference in height. You wonder how Michael D'Orlando can shoehorn himself into one of these cars, but he does, and does a tremendous job of it. So Kiko Porto winning over a couple of strong American drivers, Christian Brooks and Michael D'Orlando, but he will be a happy camper getting that first win of the 2021 season.
That will be a heck of a victory podium celebration. Michael D'Orlando, Christian Brooks, Kiko Porto, your winner in the USF2000 Grand Prix of Indianapolis, race number 3. Our thanks to Rob Howden, the voice of this Road to Indy program. What great action. And we're not even halfway done with the day yet, Greg Rakestraw.
No, we're just getting started. Again, the next cars that you will see on track will be those of the NTT IndyCar Series. That is slated for a little less than 30 minutes from now. They will have their open test, so to speak, kind of their warm-up session before they go racing at 2:45. They'll be on track for 30 minutes. We'll have another Indy Pro 2000 race. This is the last you see of these USF2000 drivers. And before we get too far down the road as to what to expect later today, let's talk to our race winner as Kiko Porto is standing by with Georgia Henneberry.
Kiko Porto taking the win today in the USF2000 series. Kiko, 3 wide for the lead at some points. Where do you find that line between aggressive driving and letting off?
Honestly, I don't know. On the start, I got some heat on the back, but the car feels fine. My cars feel perfect. I want to say thank you for all the team, for all the work. And then I put a really good pace. Very, very difficult to fight with Christian, a really good driver. But I only want to say thank you for my sponsor, Banco da Coval. Thank you, the D-Force Racing, for all hard work. And as this, I'm very happy with the result.
You are leaving the Indianapolis Motor Speedway a winner once again, a feeling like no other.
Yeah, this track is incredible. Is the best track to win a race, so it's perfect weekend for me.
Kiko Porto taking the win. Back to you guys.
But top 5s all year with 2 wins on the record as well. He's now their point leader by 14 markers, finishing in 2nd place today for Exclusive Autosport, Christian Brooks. 4 different winners on the season and a new winner here for the 2021 season. Tremendous drive, got out front and got the job done. Folks, put your hands together from Brazil for D-Force Racing, Kiko Porto. Amazing run for Kiko today, able to get his way around Christian Brooks and then hold off to get his first win of the 2021 season. And again, we talk about this being essentially single-A baseball. These are the future stars of the NTT IndyCar Series. You'll see these drivers down in these NTT IndyCar machines here in about 3 to 4 to 5 years. They're developing their talents here on the road to Indy. They'll look to go to Indy Pro 2000 from here. But again, some just tremendous drivers. Again, from Brazil, part of our international contingent, Kiko Porto, with his first win of the season. Tremendous drive, and congratulations to everyone from D-Force as well. Great job for the team. David and Ernesto. Christian Brooks coming home second. Solid body of work to start the 2021 season. 2 wins and nothing but top 5s. 7 top 5s on the season so far. And of course, Michael D'Orlando, incredible recovery after a tough one in qualifying. He's able to get himself up into the top 5. 2 podiums and 3 top 5s for Michael D'Orlando. Champagne flying and Brooksy on it quickly, going after Kiko Porto. They're not wearing these suits again until we head to Lucas Oil Raceway in 2 weeks for the Freedom 75. Again, USF2000 and Indy Pro, part of the Carb Night Classic, the Friday before the 500. But folks, we're wrapped up here. One more time, a round of applause for the podium here in USF2000. Michael D'Orlando 3rd, Christian Brooks in 2nd, and the race winner today here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Kiko Porto.
Thank you, Rob Howden. Congratulations, Kiko.